Biomutant is an exciting open world RPG coming most likely this year. We'll have to wait and see. From Experiment 101 and THQ Nordic, I wanted to break down my top 5 reasons why I'm excited for this game personally. Let's go. The tribes in Biomutant is a key focus for your little mutant friend. The official Steam page mentions that tribes stand divided in need of someone strong enough to unite them or bring them all down. This is what I'm excited about, and we'll have to wait and see how you can interact with the tribes directly, but my hope is that there are benefits going either way. Like maybe you help the tribe, you gain access to unique crafting resources for your weapons, or maybe destroying the tribe is bad, but a rival tribe will like that and you'll be allowed into their ranks more easily. We'll just kind of have to see how that turns out. What I was personally like to know more about is how the tribes interact with each other. So are they disconnected quest hubs, kind of like the villages in No Man's Land in The Witcher 3, or are they like a connected hub where they're all kind of vying for control over an area? I really hope it's not just like The Witcher where you rock up to a town, you check the board for side quests, you do those side quests, you might get some rep in that town or whatever, and then you kind of on your way. It would make much more sense if they're linked and fighting for control over the land and the resources, because resources are supposed to be scarce after the oil disaster which is ravaging the land. Having a number of tribes to interact with is cool, but it would be cool if they all really tie together, and then that all hopefully will tie into the main story of the Tree of Life and the disaster that's occurring. My hope is that there is value in working with the tribes, but also consequences for your actions if you choose to help or hinder them, and that'll really feed into my next point, which is the replayability. From everything we know about Biomutant, they are setting the game up to have a strong focus on replayability. Even with the tribes I mentioned, you can help or hinder their progress in the world, and the main quest being focused on the oil disaster of the Tree of Life. We have confirmation that will be multiple endings, however we don't know at this stage how many there will be. I've seen people say, there's going to be like 5 or 4 or something, but I don't really think it's been confirmed yet, at least from what I've seen. Maybe there will be just like a you've saved a world ending and you failed to save the world ending. I'm not really sure, but the open world itself and character development and the tribes aspect are enough to get me excited for additional playthroughs. For me personally, I only hit the new game button on a second playthrough if I really love the game. The best examples that come to mind are like Fallout or the Elder Scrolls series, Mass Effect, and of course the love of my life, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. I know for myself as a gamer, if I really enjoyed a game, I'll want to go again and experience the different aspects of the game, like, for Mass Effect as example, the Paragon and Renegade options, or the different options in The Witcher 3. That's how I know that I'm really in love with the game. Biomutant, from the outside looking in, looks like it has some of these qualities, but in my mind, I think it'll depend on how the combat is and how engaging the story is, and if there's true choice and consequence, which we kind of have seen some of, right? Like there is the dialogue system, but we don't really know how deep that goes, whether there is branching dialogue and choices to make in those systems. We haven't really seen that, but it will be interesting to know once the game comes out. Regardless though, I'm excited for what's to come, and even more excited to play around with the different mutants and the different kind of creatures that you can create and the different abilities, which leads into my next point of character customization. The character customization is not only visually pleasing, but the depth of how you can create your character that you have in mind is something that's really cool, and it's actually kind of exciting. It feeds into the replayability aspect that I was talking about, because on your first playthrough, you might make like a melee buff focused mutant with blue fur, and on your second playthrough maybe you'll make like an intelligent psionic focused red fur mutant with different markings, and that's really feeds into that replayability aspect. There are 5 major pillars in the DNA encoding: strength, vitality, agility, charisma, and intelligence, which all directly feed into your physical aesthetic. So if you're more intelligent, you got a big brain. If you're strong, you've got big arms, that kind of thing. I've touched on it in some of my other videos as well, but the encoding is so flexible in how you develop your mutant. I'm still not sure exactly what kind of mutant I'm going to make. I think I'll maybe go somewhere between like a strength and an agility. I like melee combat, and the movement and attack speed buffs you get from agility sound like a lot of fun. If you can be like a big heavy hitting melee character that's also quick and speedy, I think that sounds really cool for me, at least for the first playthrough. You've also got basically a free reign of colors and different types of markings that you can put on your mutant as well to customize them even more. There is also the physical biomutations, which is where the name Biomutant comes from, for the upgrades that you can get, and you can find them in the world. These upgrades can be anything from like a shoulder mutation that helps you deflect bullets, or like a crab pincher arm that was mentioned in an interview that I saw a while ago. So even once you've customized your mutant, you can find these additional physical mutations in the world, and they give you benefits to your character as well as changing the way that they look, which I think is really cool. The weapon crafting is a big feature in Biomutant, which has me also excited. In Biomutant, you will be able to create your own weapons from parts you find in the world, and they will all look vastly different from some of the demo footage that we've seen up to this point. There is normal weapon types like, shotgun, assault rifle, pistol, revolver, that kind of thing. These are called weapon styles, and they define how the weapon will act, but they by no means define how the weapon will look. We've seen some insane looking weapons, and their stats are all different, and you can also put effects on them. So you can have like a Quario module or, other types of things like flame and that stuff. It's similar to Borderlands with the different weapon elements, except the key difference here is that you're actually creating the gun. It's not, something you've just found in the world. There are single-handed weapons, which you can dual wield, and as well as two-handed weapons. And there isn't only ranged weapons. There is melee weapons, and they are all the same kind of stuff like single and double-handed and dual wielding. And they have different types as well, like slashing, pierce, and crush. The same flexibility that's in the gun crafting is in the melee here by the looks as well, especially with the modules, that kind of thing. This system seems very in-depth, especially for a very small studio who is making this game. Experiment 101, I think the last time they reported they had like 20 staff. So it's really interesting that they're putting so many different aspects into this game, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play around with. A little side note about Biomutant as well, and the guns, is that there is no ammo capacity in Biomutant. Weapons have a magazine size, and once your magazine is empty, there is a short cooldown period before you can shoot again, which is perfect for the fast-paced action that Biomutant has. You should be able to free fire as you zoom around the battlefield with your little mutant, hacking and slashing and diving and ducking everywhere, shooting, and then that cooldown is better than having to scrounge for ammo. Like, you don't want to have a resource here where you've got to, make sure you've got enough ammo to shoot. It's much more fluid and fun if you can just zoom around and shoot everyone at will. The last major point that has me excited for Biomutant is the combat itself. We spoke about how there is depth in the weapons and about how there's depth in the character customization, but the combat is where it really all comes together. There's no point having an awesome weapon customization and creation system and character customization if the combat itself doesn't stand up for the test of time, and it really looks like it will here. And it's also a unique flair on this action kind of combat. It's a very comical, flashy style of combat in Biomutant, and it looks like a great time. We've also know there is some significant depth in how you can choose to engage the combat system. There isn't just melee and ranged options. You've also be able to find the psionic abilities are out the world, like the mucus ball that I got to play around with in my demo, and that's also seen in the trailers. There's also a levitate, which is good for ranged characters, so you can stay up above the melee characters on the ground. We've seen a telekinesis power, which works exactly like Jesse Faden's ability in Control, where you can grab something and then launch it at enemies. All of these are on top of your melee and ranged combos and the different attacks which you can combo together in like a free-flowing combat ability system. It looks really fun. And I have played it. I played a half an hour demo at PAX Australia last year. I did make a video specifically on that, and I can tell you from my own experience that the combat was fun. I didn't get to look too much into the different psi abilities, we're only given one, and the different wushu forms we didn't touch on really at all, but it looks like there is enough depth, even with what I got to play with, for the combat to be enjoyable. And if it's just going to expand more with more abilities and different forms to the combat and different types of weapons, etc., I really think there is a lot here. The different wushu forms you can learn from the masters are like different weapon combo abilities. There is a significant amount of freedom here in the combat, and I think it's really going to be a major pillar for how this game survives and really how it reviews. Like, this is going to be the main thing that you're engaging with. Like, obviously you can talk to people and there's that kind of stuff with the tribes and everything we were talking about, but the combat is the key pillar to making this game function, I think. It all feeds into how you develop your character the right way, from the creation screen to the weapons you create to which mutations you choose and the psionic abilities you learn and use in combat. It's that one big package, and it all should come together in this combat. The cartoon comic style of the combat is visually pleasing as well. It looks like a lot of fun, and it's very over the top. It has a very Devil May Cry kind of look to it, and I'd really dig that style. Biomutant also, on top of this, has different mechs which you can pilot and use to fight in combat, that kind of thing. We've seen them in the trailers again, and I also got to pilot a mech in my demo that I played. In the demo, we got to pilot a mech towards the end of the play session, and we took on this big boss which had like different attack phases, and I think there was 3 phases from memory. There was the initial phase where you met the boss, then he kind of got more aggressive, and then the last phase he destroys your mech and he basically eats you and you end up inside him and you have to like attack his heart while these little creatures are spawning. It was all a lot of fun, and I hope there are more fights like this. These over the top fun action set pieces are really going to make this game stand out. Biomutant doesn't ground itself in reality, and that really allows for these weird and crazy over-the-top fights and abilities, and I think it's really its biggest strength. How long has it been since we've had an open-world RPG, even any kind of game really, that isn't grounded in some extent of reality or realistic manner? So there's no humans, no human-like characters as the main focus. I honestly can't even think of one other than Ratchet and Clank, which is a borderline RPG and it's not really open world. Let me know in the comments below what excites you about Biomutant. I have a lot of other content on this game on my channel. If you're interested, check them out below as well. Thanks for watching today. My name is Norza, and have a great day.